to the Chrissy B Show. Now, Christmas is fast approaching, everyone's excited, and the kids have already given you a long list of the presents they want. But you're not looking forward to Christmas because you can't really afford it. So what do? Well, my guest tonight will be helping out because we'll be speaking about Christmas on a shoestring. Brand marketer and founder of I Allow, Justin Bassini, is back with us, and he'll be exposing the tricks and tactics that companies use to get us to spend. And we also have Mrs. Thrifty blogger Michelle Nicholson back with us, who'll be showing us some great Christmas decorations and gifts that can be made by hand very, very easy, and will save you lots of money too. And we'll also be having our self-development clinic with Chris Brown later on. Also, we have a question from a viewer in a dilemma who's saying that she can't afford Christmas and she doesn't know what to do. So I'll be giving her some advice on what I will do later on. Now, if you want to get in touch at any point to ask a question, to give your comments as well, you can call on 020-7686-6300. And you can also email chris@chrissybshow.tv. But please don't leave it for the breaks like some people do. Call us during the actual show. All right, but before we say hello to my first guest, let's see what the general public have to say about Christmas and how much they spend.
Hi there, Chrissy. Once again, I'm on the streets to get public opinion on tonight's topic. Just how easy is it to celebrate Christmas whilst on a shoestring budget? Let's find out. How much do you find that you spend over Christmas?
Well, this Christmas is a bit different because I've just moved down from Yorkshire and I'm tight is the word, and my children are grown up, so I'm being very careful this Christmas, but I'm still spending more than I should.
Well, since I've actually started celebrating Christmas, I don't really spend too much. I want to say about overall maybe £100 at least.
Maybe a little bit more. Maybe roughly 2 to 3, depending on a big family.
I mean, it matters from year to year, but if I'm being generous, it can get quite out of control. So, I mean, I think easily you can spend, even like with small family friends, £300 without even trying.
We try to budget over the year, and I sort of plan ahead of what I'm going to buy, but always more than I mean to, because there's always something you think, oh, that person looked really good in that, or that will really suit that person. So yeah, always more than I mean to.
I've seen amounts, unfortunately. You always buy the presents, and then you see something else that you'd like to give someone, and it's just Christmas, yeah, it's just a time to spoil people.
A lot. I think Christmas is the most important time. Like, I spend more than I spend on my birthday.
I spend into like the 3 figures. Like, I don't know, it's just a bit of an addiction when it comes to Christmas. I just have to buy it, so yeah.
Well, we don't really do presents in my family. We just tend to just all come together, so I probably spend about £100 at the most.
I'd say over Christmas I probably spend about double the amount that I spend the rest of the year.
Well, Chrissy, we've had some very interesting answers, so now it's back to you in the studio.
So how much do you spend over Christmas? You can give us a call 020-7686-6300. And actually, I think some people don't realise how much they spend because they probably don't calculate it. But maybe if you did, you'll be quite shocked. And we've got Justin with us again. Good evening, Justin. Thanks for joining us again.
Nice to be here.
So how much do people on average spend according to the research?
So according to the research, the average family spends £750 at Christmas.
That's a holiday.
Yeah, huge amount of money. And the marketers are rubbing their hands with glee. So the marketers spent £3 billion, £3 billion in December trying to persuade us to part with our cash.
That's ridiculous.
It's a huge amount of money. So all this advertising and marketing focused on us, trying to get us to buy that stuff, right? For the average spend per child is £150 spent on a child per child on average in the UK.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a huge amount of money. And spending on Christmas dinner, for example, £93.
Gosh.
Amazing, huge amount of money. And actually what's interesting about that spending on Christmas dinner is on average we throw away 20% of the food that's on the table. And we all know that, don't we?
Some people don't actually like turkey.
That's right.
My mum always used to cook it at Christmas, but I don't like the thing. I don't like it. It's, well, maybe it's the way she cooked it, but she's a good cook, but it's always quite dry and stuff. I always prefer chicken or something like that, or kebabs. But, you know,
well,
sometimes we eat things we don't even like just because it's traditional.
So we spend all this money and we know that it's going to get, part of it's going to get thrown away.
Yeah.
So how can you start to get in control of that, because
Yes,
a third of people at Christmas also get into some form of debt. And that's really, really bad. So that's
a third of people get into debt.
So that's the sort of hangover that we all know in January and February, looking at all the bills, the credit card bills come through, and you go, wow, I really spent a lot of money. So
I think Christmas can be quite a miserable time then for a lot of people. They just sort of think they have to sort of act happy and like they're going to enjoy themselves, but in actual fact inside they're really dreading it.
Well, it can be quite competitive, can't it? So what you find because we're giving all these gifts, and because marketing and companies want us to give gifts all the time, if I give you a gift, what do you need to do? You need to give me a gift, right? And then we start this competition between us and who's given what, etc., etc. So it's really, really important to just get in control. So I think there are a few main things that we can say to people to like try and help them have a better Christmas. The question I always ask people is, do you remember what you had last year? Do you remember what you got for Christmas last year? Most people can't remember, right? You spend all this money, you spend all this time, and actually you can't really remember. Because if it's just a gift that you're given, you open it, the paper gets thrown away, you see it, it goes into the huge pile of gifts, it actually doesn't mean that much. So all the research shows that actually if you want a really good Christmas, the way to start off is to try and get in control of it. So the first thing to do is to think about what's important to you at Christmas. So what's important to us? I think most of us would say it's spending time with our family. Some of the people on the street, that's what they said. Spending time spoiling people with their time, talking with friends and family, seeing people that you haven't seen. And those are the really important things. And so being able to take a little bit of time and just think about, close your eyes and think about the Christmas that you want and the time that you want to spend and the time you want to spend with your kids and your family and your friends, and then starting to think, okay, how much of that do I need to spend money on? Because actually, just having a chat with a friend, picking up the phone, calling somebody that you haven't spoken to in a long time means a lot. That's right, it uses up your minutes. But it doesn't spend much, right? Whereas actually, if you just bought them a gift and sent it on Amazon or something, it means very, very little, right? So actually thinking about, so the first tip I think is think about the Christmas that you really want. And then think about giving yourself a budget. That's really very, very important. So, when families get in debt, when people get in debt, it's because you've got the credit cards out, you go shopping, you see something that you want.
It's just so tempting.
It's just so easy, isn't it?
There's all these offers and buy one, get one free, and then you think, oh, it's just... That's right. It's just everywhere already.
That's right. And the marketers are playing that game with you. So every time you walk into that shop, everything is laid out to try and get you to part with your money. So what you've got to do is you've got to try and play the game back, right? You've got to play the game by taking some time and thinking about, okay, here's my list. This is the stuff that I want. So I want to, buy Auntie Jean this, or I'm going to give somebody this, or I'm going to, start to actually write down what I want and then start to shop around for it so that you don't get hooked into this impulse buying. When you go shopping, just take cash out. So instead of using the credit cards, if you're going to spend £200, take £200 out, put it into the wallet, and then go, leave the credit cards at home. And then when you're out of money, you stop spending, right? And so you really start to control yourself in that way. So you think about it, you start to plan a little bit more, think about the things that are important to you, and then start to control your spending off the back of it. Second thing I would say is most people remember the gifts. So again, all the research shows that gifts that really are impactful for people and people really like are those that are where time and effort have been put in. Maybe you've made something, right? Maybe you actually say to somebody, I'm going to wash your car. Okay, I'm going to come next week. I'm going to wash your car. That's going to be my Christmas present. Or I'm going to do.
Maybe that would be so helpful for the person, rather than I'll just get a boring jumper that they normally get every year.
Exactly.
But then maybe they want to go out and like have just someone babysit for them for the evening.
Exactly right. Now you're thinking all those things that actually say, no, I care about you, and I'm going to give you my time and my energy instead of just looking through some pages on a website and clicking a button, and then a week later it comes and I'm going to put it in a rapid and I'm going to give it to you, right?
Or you could give blank cheques to people as well.
So that's interesting. So I
downloaded
these.
I didn't know you had that. I didn't see that just.
I downloaded these off moneysavingexpert.com.
all the time.
That's fantastic. So Money Saving Expert have loads of advice about this sort of thing. They're a really good site there.
Man, I could have patented that.
Yeah,
Never
but
mind.
they've got these blank checks, which are official Christmas checks. And what you can do is you can print them out, and then you can say, okay, I'm going to give you an evening's babysitting, or I'm going to come round and I'm going to bake you a cake, or I'm going to, you know, wash your car. And it's a way of saying that actually I'm going to give my time and effort instead of my money.
That is such a good idea.
Really nice idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people really remember, right? They remember the fact that you've given your time rather than just got the checkbook out or got the credit card out and then you're worrying about it in January. The other thing to remember is everything you buy in December will be cheaper in January. That's the game, right? Even though there are sales on and 10% off here and 15% off here, by January it will be cheaper. So if you're thinking about buying stuff, you think, oh, I've got to buy because it's on offer, it's on offer, it's on offer. Guaranteed it's going to be cheaper in January and February. So if you keep that in your mind as you're going out and you're shopping, hopefully it'll allow you to say, okay, well, maybe I'll hold off from that today and I'll actually buy it next month. Or I'll say to the person that I'm going to give the gift to, I'm going to buy you 2 things next month, or I'm going to buy you, you know, because you're not being controlled by the marketing and the advertising that you're being shown the whole time.
I think sometimes the worry that people have is that they might come across as like stingy, things like that, and that kind of worries them, and they think, oh, but I'd like to sort of say, let's postpone it till January, but they've always got that thing in the back of their mind. I don't want to be seen as like, you know, I'm stingy or I don't care.
Yeah.
How do you think people can overcome
Well,
that?
I think the trick is to have the conversation amongst you as a family. So I was talking to a family that I know, and what they do, they always have a big family, so there's like 12 of them around the table, and they've started to do Secret Santa. Do you know this Secret Santa that often offices do, where you take a name out of the hat and then you've got a certain amount of money, maybe £10 or £20, to actually buy a gift for that person, right? And so that's what they do. As a family, they've said that. They've said, okay, we're going to have a limit of X amount of money, and you're going to buy for Auntie John, and you're going to buy for Uncle Jim and whatever, right? And that means that they only have to buy one present instead of presents for everybody, and they can really put some thought into it. So it takes the pressure off, and it starts. And
you've all talked about it.
You've all talked about it.
Everyone's probably breathing a sigh of relief when you do that.
Exactly
So,
right.
I wish someone had said it earlier.
Because it's not competitive anymore. It's not about, oh, well, you've bought the better present, etc. What you're saying is, you're saying, actually, we're going to think about it a little bit more, and we're going to make it a bit more special.
Definitely.
The thing I would also say is, all the research shows that if you give a gift or you start to think about other people less fortunate than yourself, that really helps you to get into the spirit of Christmas. So they've done all these studies where actually they've got people to think about their situation versus people who are less fortunate, and we all know that there are people less fortunate than ourselves, and at Christmas time it's a really great time to actually think about those people. And so there have been various schemes set up recently where people in a road, for example, will go and take Christmas dinner, part of their Christmas dinner, for somebody else who's maybe a relative or a neighbour who's elderly. And so you don't necessarily need to do that, but actually thinking about that, and not just, often people say, go give a donation to charity, but actually it's, if you're going to give that donation to charity, have a conversation about it at the Christmas tree, right? So maybe you wrap something up and the kids undo it, and it's a picture of a you know, a child in Africa, or something, you know, a child that's in a misfortune or whatever, and basically you have a conversation about what's happened there. And again, it gives you some time to have some perspective.
Exactly.
On where you are.
Sometimes you can get so
doing.
carried away in the hype and everything, and you forget what really matters.
That's right, and all the presents flying left and right and all that sort of thing. So I think that's a really important thing. And if you look at all the psychological research, it says you have a happier Christmas if you do that sort of thing than if you don't.
Really?
So it's proven.
Wow.
It's proven that if you reach out and do something for other people, you feel better about yourself and you feel better about enjoying your Christmas. And then the last thing is never get into debt. So really, if you are going to get into debt, you've got to be really, really careful, and you basically shouldn't, you know, it's almost get to the stage of saying, no, we're not going to have Christmas this year, we're going to have it in a very, very different way, because getting into debt at Christmas, even though it's a real pressure to spend, is a very, very difficult thing to do.
Some people are already in debt, and then they
just
wanna
pile it on.
They don't want to get themselves in more debt, but they just think they've got no choice.
That's right. That's right.
It's really sad.
It's really, really sad, and it can create huge problems in the new year for many, many families who feel that pressure. And so really trying to manage that, trying to have a conversation with the family and the kids, trying to find ways of making things, doing things, replacing time and effort with money, having a conversation about these things and coming together as a family is much, much more important, and certainly more important than spending money you don't have.
Like one of the people said there on the interviews, that they don't buy any presents, they just spend the time together, which is great.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what Christmas is all about, isn't it?
That's right. What do you do at Christmas, Justin?
So what do we do? So I'll tell you the best thing that I did. About 5 years ago, my wife and I decided that we weren't going to buy each other gifts anymore. We were going to make a gift for each other at Christmas.
That decision? Or was that too personal? You don't
probably
have to
because I
say.
couldn't think of a Christmas present. I couldn't think of like something to buy.
Typical.
So we decided that, and it has been the best thing ever. I mean, I spend the whole of sort of November thinking in the back of my mind, what am I going to make? What am I going to do? And it's a real joy to actually do some research, create some stuff. So I've done pictures, and I've done like a little sculpture, and Vic's made, my wife's called Victoria, Vic's made me some like a little mosaic last year, you know, so lots and lots of different things, and it means so much more. And they're all around the house, and they sort of, every time I look at them, things she's given me, things I've given her, I really remember that Christmas. And I think if she'd bought me another gadget or something like that, I'm not sure I would remember it that much.
Probably not. Okay, what about the kids? Do you do stuff for them as well like that, or do you buy them gifts?
We do, but what we do a lot with the kids is we make stuff for Christmas. So you know, I was looking today, if you know, sausages and bacon, you know, wrapped together, if you buy them pre-bought at Sainsbury's, they cost you 3 times what they do if you buy them as bacon and sausages, and you just put them together yourself, right? So 2 days before the Christmas meal, why don't you make them with the kids? You know, it's a thing little kids can do.
They'd love to do that
they
as well.
like it, they're part of the meal.
I'd like to do that as well, actually. It's quite
and then
cute.
you put them in the fridge, and you can leave them for a few days, you know, nothing's going to go off. And then you can, and you're bringing the family into the whole Christmas experience. And that's much more important than just buying gifts the whole time.
There you have it. Great advice as usual from Justin. Thank you so much, Justin.
Pleasure.
So you can stay. I mean, you're going to stay in the studio because we've got some things, some samples of things that our next guest has made for us, some yummy stuff.
Yeah.
And that's Michelle. She'll be joining us after the break with some great ideas for decorations and things that can be handmade. So join us then. Welcome back, and we are speaking today about Christmas on a shoestring. So let's get your comments first of all.
Hi Chrissy, we've got a comment here from Ellie, and she suggests, I think it's always good to have a budget and stick to it and get gifts that people need rather than what they want. We've also got one here from Yolanda, and she says, the best tip is don't spend at all. Give gifts the whole year around to people you love, so you don't have to spend a fortune in just one go.
That's a good idea. Don't spend at all. If you don't have it, don't spend it. Good, nice idea. Okay, we've got a caller as well. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, it's Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Did you have a tip for us? Yeah, a question. Did you have a tip for us or a question?
I have a question for, is it Justin?
Oh, who happens to have gone round, but you can ask anyway.
Oh,
we can get him to answer.
mind.
He's in the studio still, so don't worry. Go ahead.
So my question was, you know, we talk so much about spending at Christmas, but I was going to ask Justin if he has any tips about making money during the Christmas period.
Oh, maybe that could be a topic for another show. Hang on a minute, let me just check with him. What do you reckon, Justin? All right, what I'll do, Lisa, can you drop me an email, and then we can send you a response by email, yeah? So it's chris@chrissybshow.tv.
Okay, I have one tip as well.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a friend, and what she does is she buys most of the Christmas presents for the following year in the Christmas sales.
Okay.
So when the sales come Boxing Day, then you buy your presents and you store them, and your Christmas shopping is mainly done that way.
Oh, that's a good one. That's provided that people don't actually use up all their money already over Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good tip as well.
Yeah, and I have one other thing.
Yeah. Go on, take over the show, Lisa.
One other thing, in terms of like technology and things, is not to buy before Christmas, but to buy in the new year. Because when you enter into a new year, then most technology you know, devalues very quickly.
Oh.
So I would wait for the sales in the, you know, after Christmas and in the new year to get things like computers and electronics.
Okay. That's
So
a good
that's
idea. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thanks for
See
your
you.
call.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so next we also have Michelle with us, who's
Hello.
Mrs. Thrifty herself, right?
Thank you very much.
You've been on before. It was a great
have.
pleasure to have you back again.
Thank you very much.
So this time you've brought on some lovely things because, as you know, people are pressured over Christmas to buy certain things and to buy, you know, all those lovely decorations that are out now.
Absolutely.
But you've got an alternative, haven't you?
Absolutely. Make them yourself.
Yeah.
Make them yourself. Why spend lots and lots of money when you can make them yourself for very, very much less?
Okay, so show us then.
Well, we've got a variety of different things here today. I'll start at the back because that looks easier. The bag I've got here is just a takeaway bag, just from an Indian takeaway that came to our house the other evening. And I thought, why put that in the recycling when that would carry, I don't know, quite a lot of biscuits, some books, things like that. And I don't know whether you can see, I've just done a rubber stamp across the front just to liven it up a little bit, a nice bit of decorative ribbon. I often think that less is more, and it looks really nice from that point of view.
Festive, yeah. Definitely.
Do you want me to carry on?
Yep.
Yeah. This is a lovely 1960s Melloware cup and saucer, a bit of vintage here. And I've just brought this along today. Not only does it go with your set, but this is to show you that when you're gifting, when you're making something, as I've made the peppermint creams to go inside, you can think outside the box in terms of what you're going to put it inside to present it. So you've got the sweets inside that somebody can eat immediately, and then you've got the cup and saucer, which if they are fans of vintage or retro or whatever, or they just like a nice cup of tea, they can enjoy that afterwards.
Nice.
The peppermint creams are sort of a bit of a family tradition for us. My mum used to make them with us when we were little. And so it's really nice to be able to make them, and they taste just the same. When I was making them, they taste just the same.
Do you know, we have like
lovely.
a few people here waiting to try these things.
And some people have had a taster already.
Oh, they have? Who's
Absolutely.
that
Oh, I'm not letting on. I'm sure we'll balance it later.
Let's find out who that was.
But
so do you share the recipe on your website?
It's going to be on the recipe, but I have a friend called Angie, if she's watching tonight, who is going to be making these peppermint creams with her preschool children next week. That's how easy they are. So please don't think that if you're making something like that, that just because it looks nice, it must be really, really difficult. It isn't. They are really, really easy. So the recipe will be going on my website.
And again, like I said when you were on the show last time as well, things like this would mean more to me to receive at Christmas than just a box of chocolates bought in a shop that maybe thought. I was going to say something brand new. Maybe those expensive chocolates.
Those expensive chocolates.
Yes. But then it's just bought. But something like this has taken a bit of time, a bit of effort, thought. That would mean a lot more to me, and probably a fraction of the price.
Absolutely. It's like we said last time. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. And if you can give people, as Justin was saying a few minutes ago, if you can give people some of your time, you are giving them a gift in itself by doing that. So it's a really, really nice thing to be doing. Shall I carry on?
Yes.
We have a cracker complete with snap inside it.
Now you made this yourself?
I made this myself.
That's so nice.
This took me about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. The most difficult part was trying to tie the raffia without somebody else to hold it while I tied it. But it really was very, very simple. If you have to be crackers to buy crackers. You have to be crackers to buy really good crackers because they are so expensive.
Do you know what? My sister bought I think probably the most expensive crackers we could buy, and they didn't work. They didn't pop.
Really?
Whatever it is that they do, they didn't bang.
Oh, what a shame.
I said, you should take them back. She goes, oh no, I've spent the money now, don't worry about it.
You can buy the snaps on places like eBay. They're about, I don't know, 125, 150, something like that. If you're really canny, you can get free postage and packing as well. So look carefully at those eBay listings. And then you can put your own, your own gift inside. And it can be anything. And you can personalise it, as we were saying on the last show I was on. You can personalise your gift to the recipient so they can look and they can think, right, so-and-so likes this or they like that. That was another thing I was going to say when we were talking. Justin was talking about presents earlier and about what to get for so-and-so and things. Some people will give people presents just to give them a present. And I'm thinking, start with what you know that person likes. So if you've got somebody who you know, like Joanna, the producer, really likes dark chocolate, I found that one out and remembered that.
That's why there's a biscuit missing.
Stored away for future reference. If you know they like that, start with that and think, well, what else could I get them in dark chocolate? This might be nice, that might be nice. If you stop and think to yourself, actually, I don't know what this person likes, then why are you getting them a present? If you don't know them well enough to know what they like, because you might buy them something, you might go into a shop and think, right, that will do for them. I've heard people say that will do for them. How nice is that person? How nice are you going to feel when that ends up in a charity shop or in landfill? Because it was no good for the person. They were allergic to one of the products. They didn't like the flavour. And how awful are they going to feel? It is insulting. It is insulting because how insulted are they going to feel that you didn't know that you're their good friend and they didn't like coffee, or they were allergic to lanolin, which is quite a common thing for people to be allergic to. So it's that thought, you know, and if you don't know, find out quick, because we've only got, what, 3 weeks?
Yes, exactly.
Not very long now.
Michelle, does that cracker actually work?
Shall we see? Do you want to see now? Shall we see
This is
before
a
the
live
break?
show. We're going to test
Ladies
this
and
cracker,
gentlemen,
get a
we're going to
better
test this cracker. Do you want to do it now?
I'm going to fall off
Are you
the
ready?
chair, I think.
They're a bit wobbly, aren't they? Shall we hold on tight to the snap in the middle? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh! You know what we've done? We haven't pulled the snap. It's broken before. Ready?
There we go.
Are. Look, popped on live TV.
I should have missed that on TV.
Just to show. Look,
And
there's
we've
something inside. It isn't a hat, but
it's
it is a chocolate. Well, it had to have something in the middle.
Kind of hat.
It could be a hat. At least that hat fits.
Okay.
Because that's the other thing with crackers, isn't it? You pay a lot of money for them, and the hat is either too small and perches on the top, or it comes down over your eyes, and you can't see your Christmas dinner.
True.
That's the way of getting
Can I
children
keep
to eat
this?
their vegetables. You
I
can
know
have
someone
that
that will really like this.
to eat later.
Yes, definitely.
Would you like me to
Thank
continue?
You. Yes, please do.
Florentines. They're made out of them. They're predominantly
Florentines?
flaked almonds. I think probably they're an Italian-y sort of invention. I don't know.
This is homemade as well.
These are homemade. They are really, really quick. You melt your sugar, your butter and your cream together. You bring them very quickly to the boil. Then you add flour and these crushed almonds. So you get flaked almonds and you pound them with the bottom of a rolling pin to break them up even smaller. Add them all together, put little dollops onto a pre-greased tin, really nice. And I think they're about 7 minutes in the oven.
Really?
And then you melt chocolate and
you guys
put it on the
these,
top.
You can see how yummy they look. Where's the camera?
And I've put it into a vintage tin.
I can hear people making noise out.
Simply because I had a vintage tin to hand.
I'm taking one home, Michelle.
But it was to show that you can put them in something that you have to hand. Not the ice cream tub that I brought them into the studio in, all packed with bubble wrap so they didn't break on the train. But something that you may have to hand, or something again that can be reused afterwards, like the cup.
Is the recipe on your website?
That will be on the recipe coming soon.
Okay.
Lots of things would have been on my recipe on my website this week, but I got called to be on the television.
Oh,
so
sorry.
It went by the board.
You've messed up your schedule, right?
You've messed up my schedule, but it's okay. I don't mind. I hope there's lots of people who read my blog out there tonight watching. Sure can I run this one by you, Chrissy?
So
this is a little collar.
Look,
just
I've got one on.
Yes, Chrissy's got one. Rather than me try to get it on over my top of my scarf. I saw one recently in a magazine to be sold for when they do fundraisers at Christmas. For the benefit of a well-known, let's say a well-known museum.
Yes, we shop.
And they do a fantastic job. I'm not knocking that, but they had a collar and it was made out of wool. It wasn't entirely wool mix fabric. That's what it was made out of. It had a little bit of lace trimming around the edge, and it was £30. And I looked at that and I thought, it isn't even a scarf. It won't keep the cold out. It's a little bit of a decorative collar. So I brought this. This is pure silk. This collar that I've got here with 2 little antique buttons, mother of pearl buttons on the bottom. I don't know whether you can see those on there. There we are. So we hold that up, look, for the camera. I'll let you hold it, Chrissy, because you're nearer. And I bought that silk from a Designers Guild sale after Christmas, when they have all their remnants for half price, and 2 weeks after the sale, they'll love me for saying this on air, won't they? 2 weeks after the sale, they reduce all their remnants to half the price that they were before. So all your fabrics that have been £90 and things like this, Trisha Guild will be crossing me off her Christmas card list as fast as anything now. These fabrics, it cost about £1.
£1?
The piece of silk I got, quite a big piece of silk, £10, and that was about 1/10 of the sheet. And the buttons I was given. Yes, for your recipe. It's very simple. If you just look at the shape of that, that is not hard. So it's just
But you need some
really
sewing
measured
skills, don't you, or is
round.
it quite easy to make something?
It was
like
made on. I did make that on a sewing machine, and I hand sewed the tiny stitches at the back of the neck, just so because it was silk and you needed a very fine needle.
Lovely.
You could make it by hand and then press it yourself afterwards.
Sell these, Michelle.
I could do.
Yes.
I could.
That's an idea for you.
Thank you very much. When I've got a few minutes from all the other busy things that I do. I've got a little
these?
something
Please,
here.
what are these?
Oh, these were baubles that I made. I used to work in a school, and part of what I did, my degree's in drama, and I was running the school library, so in order to get my drama fix, I used to do front of house for the school play every year. One year we did Greece, and so we had a pink lady Christmas tree, and all the decorations on the tree were pink. So we had the little net bows. This is the sort of netting that you use for underskirts, for those big 50 skirts. Yeah. I think it's about £1.70 for a metre. You can have a vast amount of net for next to nothing. Just cut into a strip, tied into a bow. There's a little bit of wire threaded through the loop at the back, so you can fasten it onto the tree, and a few sequins glued on the front. Lovely. These are unbreakable baubles that are really just, they were actually really naff plastic, really horrible. And I painted them with acrylic primer and then with a match pot of emulsion. Yeah. They're light as anything, and I'm not going to test them on the floor, but they don't break. But the paint might come off. So they were for that. So you can actually, if you can buy them. Charity shops sell them. They even sell the beautiful breakable baubles, and I was buying those for 10p each, the beautiful breakable baubles the other week. But they're not good to come to the studio. Right. They don't go well on the tray. No, there's a picture of them somewhere. I don't know where the pictures are. There we are. And then a little something. When I came on last time, I made a little felt brooch and it was round. And I said to you, if I'd had time, I would have made a little felt brooch in a C shape. I can see would you like to hold it up, Chrissy?
It's gorgeous. Look at this.
There we are.
It's my own C brooch, my first Christmas present.
That's her Christmas present. I thought I'd wrap it up, but then I thought we'd rustle too much on the television.
Oh, this is lovely. Oh, it's so cute.
So there we are. So
Thank you so much.
The blue is to go with all your different outfits for when you're on your different telly programmes.
Thank you so much. I love it.
My pleasure.
Oh, it's so cute. Now, will this be on your website?
I don't think it really needs to be on the website. Yeah. It's very, very easy. I think I said last time. Yeah. It's just some felt with a brooch pin fastened to the back, and in the middle, the stiffener is some milk carton, the plastic milk cartons that we all use every day and rinse and put them in our recycling. Well. It's durable, yes. It won't bend if it goes in your jewellery box. And I cut that out this morning after giving it a really good wash because I thought it might smell of milk. I was up very early today. So keen was I to be on the Chrissy B show today.
Made all these things just for the show. So lovely. She's adorable. Okay, Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you
and I'm sure you've helped our viewers tonight as well.
Thank
Lots
you.
of lovely ideas. Thank you very much. Well, after the break, we've also got Chris Brown joining us, who'll be imparting his wisdom in the Self-Development Clinic and also be answering a question from a viewer who's in a bit of a dilemma. So join us after this break. Welcome back. So we're still speaking about Christmas on a shoestring, but now we're going to hear a question, a dilemma from one of our viewers. Go ahead, Amelia.
Hey, I'm dreading Christmas because I'm unemployed and the debts are piling up. I usually love this time of the year, but to be honest, the thought of spending money I just don't have makes me feel quite ill. There are so many expectations from friends and family members, plus I'm a single mum and the kids are expecting presents. What would Chrissy do?
Honestly, if I was in your shoes, I would actually cancel Christmas. And I know that sounds really stingy, and I know that sounds really like, oh my gosh, how can you do that? But the thing is, you're talking about expectations from friends and family, but what about you? You're saying now that the thought of Christmas and spending money that you don't have is making you feel ill. It's affecting your health. You can actually get sick because of worry and stress. So my advice, what I would do if I was in your shoes, I would speak to my friends and family and explain the situation. I'm sure if they care about you, if they're good friends, if they, your family love you, as I'm sure they do, they'll understand your predicament. They'll understand that, you're going for a hard time at the moment and you can't afford it. Obviously, you can try all the tips that we've spoken about here, like some of the tips from Michelle to, do homemade things, and some of the tips that Justin shared as well. Put that into practice by all means. But if you really can't see yourself spending anything this Christmas, then don't. There's no pressure. Just because the shops and everyone's talking about it doesn't mean that you have to fall into that, go with the flow and do what the crowd is doing. If you know you can't afford it, so don't do it. And I know it must be hard with the kids. They're expecting presents, but actually, what your kids want the most from you is your time. It's just spending time with them, Probably they won't even remember the gifts that you give to them, as we heard earlier anyway. So just spend that time, do something special with them. I don't know, watch a film or something together that I'm sure they'll remember much, much more. And depending on their age as well, I think you can even explain to them that, you know, mummy hasn't got much money at the moment, and, you know, maybe later on when she gets a job, you can, you know, you can do something nice with them. But there's plenty of things that you can do with them for free as well. So don't feel pressured and getting yourself into even more debt, because you probably are in debt. You know, get yourself into more debt, because how's it going to be at home? You're stressed out, right? You know, you're thinking about buying presents. You go and spend money that you don't have. What's the atmosphere going to be like at home as well? So please, please don't get sucked into everything. Be your own person. Cancel Christmas if you have to. It's just one day. Everyone's going crazy about one day. Yes, it's nice, but at the end of the day, you can't afford it, so don't go with it. That would be my advice, and that's what I would do. I hope that's helped you. Chris, what do you think? Hello, Chris Brown.
Hi, Chrissy.
How are you? This is our self-development clinic now.
Self-development
what do you
clinic,
think about that?
Do you know what? I totally agree with what you said, but the other side is cancelling Christmas. It's pretty hard to actually cancel Christmas for children, isn't it? Because they go to school after and they got peer pressure. What did you do? What happened? And let's not talk about children. Just as the woman said, I mean, it's pretty sad. We've got consumerism all around, and you just get bombarded by the TV. Buy this, get this, get that, get this, get that, and after a while, it turns into a matter of, well, stress, depression for most people. In that sort of situation, unemployed. I mean, think about it. Sorry, I don't remember the name, but she's not the only unemployed person right now who's actually going through it.
Yeah,
there's quite a number of people across the nation like that at this moment. And as this period comes up, it's sad to say, as you know, my wife works in the medical field, and figures are, most suicides, the highest rate is around this time, Christmas,
Seriously?
January, straight after. So we're talking about taking the stress out of Christmas, because that's the last thing we want to hear. And somebody's got to take responsibility for it, because what is Christmas about at the end of the day? I'm sure the whole essence of Christmas has gone. You spoke about bringing a family together. Yeah. That's great. That's what you need. You need family. You need support.
That's what I'm saying. In her case, that's what the kids will remember.
Exactly. For a lifetime, you'll remember that.
That
You're not
could
going
be
to remember
Christmas.
all the
That could be what Christmas means to the family.
Exactly.
So as Justin was saying earlier as well about, you know, talking about unwrapping something, but like something that talks about what Christmas really means.
Yes.
That's something that's not going to cost anything, but you're still in that spirit of Christmas if you still want to have Christmas.
It's just giving, you know, and accepting at the same time as well. So I wouldn't be too stressed out about that. I'd say set your own parameters. Work out what you want to do over Christmas. That's my advice to her.
Yeah.
Work out with the kids what you're going to do, just as much what you said, you know, and don't be into this peer pressure, because this is the very thing that's actually causing a lot of problems at this present moment.
It is.
No money, what are we going to do? Right? You look at the crime that's going on, everything that's going on around it, peer pressure at the end of the day. Everybody wants to do something they can't do, living beyond their means. So there we go. So taking that's what I'm actually going to talk about, taking the stress out of Christmas. Yeah. And one of the main things as well, I'd say number one is to stop. Stop. Yeah, just stop. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Right? That's it. You looked at me and thought, oh, right, we'll say. Okay, when I say stop, I mean stop.
You just told me not to say to cancel Christmas, and now you're telling to stop.
No, not in that sense. Well, stop and organise yourself. Work out what you've got to do. Work out your budget. Work out family chores. Work out what's going to happen around the house, how you're going to work together. Once everybody actually knows what they're doing and what they're about, there's less pressure. Then you've got to think about the area of, we was talking about finance earlier on. Work out your budget. How much have you got to actually spend at the end of the day? If you've got enough to spend. And much to what Michelle and Justin was talking about earlier on, I totally agree. Make a lot of things yourself. I mean, the memories that stick in your mind, somebody gives you a gift that actually put effort in and made, I think that's brilliant. That was next to one. I was listening on the side and I thought, oh, tick that off. We'll go for that. You know, it's funny because there was the other one he said as well about...
although if you can afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford it. Yeah.
No, but I would still prefer to have something handmade, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
No? Tiffany's?
Swarovski? I'll take that back.
Okay.
Maybe if it was food, definitely something
just chiseled
homemade.
a bit.
Right. Yeah. No, okay, all right.
But with all seriousness, it is actually better getting handmade, because you think about it, years later on, you're always going to remember that. It's going to bring more sentimental value, more joy. Whatever happens, you know, you're going to remember that at the end of the day. You get a gadget, especially children. My gosh, they get a gadget, they play with it, next minute it's got another use and it's smashed and it's gone. And it's there, January, March, and it's over. So, and you've got to get the next gadget that they promote and push out to you. So anyway, like I said, stop, plan exactly what you're going to do, organise yourself. Do you know, to turn this around, I was looking at this little article and I thought, you know, stressed, reverse, backwards, says desserts. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Thinking about, I was kicking that word earlier on. Was that connected?
Is there a point?
There's a point behind that, right? That we don't have to get so stressed out. Plus, there's a point that we can have those biscuits after anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, so
if they haven't disappeared already, because I think they're already
right, they're gone
yeah.
already. Okay, going back to that. Number 2, as I said, bargains. Work out what you're spending your money on, your budgets, how much you can spend and what you're going to spend it on, right? The other thing on top of that is trying to get the right presents for somebody. That is a big problem. We was just talking about that a while ago. Now, think about this. You can actually take someone to the shops and say, well, what do you want? That would be hard. I mean, I made a joke with you about Tiffany's and Harrods and things like that. You did it to somebody, you could be out of pocket straight away, right?
Yeah.
So we can't do that. So you've got to work out your budget. Good thing to do is find out what sort of shops that person likes. What about vouchers? Because vouchers, you're going to talk about January, they're going to get a lot more for it. And you can give what you can afford to do.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of vouchers in our family as well, and it works out a lot better. Because just as you said, you can get things that people don't really want. And you go back and you queue up in January in the January sales. Give them vouchers.
No, I really don't mind vouchers. I quite
don't
like
mind
receiving them, but I know a particular friend of mine absolutely hates them.
vouchers, really?
Because for her, she thinks it's like, oh, the person made no effort or whatever.
Right.
Some people are a bit iffy about vouchers. I personally like them because I can get what I want.
Well, that's it. You've got a choice. Instead of somebody getting something, you take it away.
But find out first before you get them.
Which shop they like.
Yes,
okay?
yeah.
Right. And the other one I was talking about earlier on is this is another thing that takes out the stress. Doing it early, before time. Christmas is the 25th, right? Start thinking about it as the 23rd. Start thinking back a bit further. Get everything wrapped up, sorted out already. That way you're not rushing around at the last minute trying to do this, trying to do that. Oh, so-and-so's coming. Oh, did you get a present for this one? Work it all out before. Do all your wrapping, everything you need to do before. Yeah? Okay? And here's the other one, teamwork. Number 5, teamwork. Teamwork's a good thing in the family. Delegate. Everybody's got a chore in the family,
Yes,
right?
they should.
They
Never
should
too
do.
young, right?
Yes, even the young ones.
Yeah.
Even they come up with a little dummy and all that. They've got a chore as well, you know, at the end of the day. Everybody's got a chore, right? Because why take on that pressure for yourself at the end of the day and try and do everything, try and please everybody at the same time? If we all did it together, it'll work better. Teamwork's a key word in the family. Teamwork, always go with that. Next one I'm going to talk about, it comes up all the time. It's not so positive, it's not so negative at the same time. Sometimes you get a lot of splits in families at Christmas time.
Yes.
You get the feuds in family. You get the thing where Uncle so-and-so, Auntie so-and-so is going to come over like last year, the year before, and look what happened then, right?
And people get very drunk as well, don't they? And
People
say
get
a lot
very
of
drunk,
things.
yes, exactly. So that's what I was going to say. Limit the alcohol, right? Me personally, don't really do alcohol myself at all, but for anybody who really does and needs to, limit it.
Especially if you know there's like an alcoholic in the family.
Oh,
You
yes.
have to be really careful. Although sometimes they will just turn up drunk already. That happens. I've seen that.
Half
in
drunk and
families
look
as
for a
well.
bowl.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's the thing, but
And what happens? The tongue
a
gets
mess,
loose. People say
yeah.
things they don't mean to say, or what they did want to say, and their tongue's a bit
that
loose
used
at
to
the
happen
time.
every year with my husband's family. There was like 3 or 4 of them alcoholics, so you can imagine getting around the table. Everyone's, it wasn't funny, but they don't drink now, thankfully.
Right.
But, you know, all of them alcoholics, and then they're all drinking, and then all these massive arguments go, yeah, what did you do to me last year? And they're like, it was awful time.
Right.
I don't think he's got many happy memories of Christmas back then.
And you hit the key word where you said they don't have happy memories about Christmas. And sometimes we associate certain situation that happened before with that individual. Instead of actually open our heart, moving on. Let's try again, start completely new. We'll leave this subject out, we'll leave that subject out. That happened the year before.
Yeah.
You know, this is what, 2012, we're going into 2013. Why are you still holding on to past things? Why not start anew? Start again, completely all over again. You can get it right. You've got the opportunity to get it right. If you don't want to spend time with that person, that company, you don't have to. That's the other thing as well. You know, sometimes people
Mum, I don't want to
force
see you. No, I'm joking.
Sometimes people force themselves into situations that they don't really need to do out of peer pressure. And what happens after that? There goes another few. Starts for the year after at the same time. Better to sort it out before the time. Talk about a few things. Set some ground rules, what we're not going to talk about and what we are going to talk about. And let's enjoy ourselves overall. And my number 7 on top of that is this. Determine your happiness.
Oh, tell us.
Determine your happiness, meaning determine how you believe that this whole thing will turn out by the end of the day and what you're going to avoid, what you're going to do to make sure you stay on top of it. If it does get a bit sticky, take time out. You can take time out, go on the side, go in the bathroom,
hide in the toilet for a while.
Yeah, that's it. Go in the bathroom, stay there for a while.
Just let off some steam.
Yeah, go outside, chill, come back in, but determine your happiness. Make sure it's a happy Christmas at the end of the day. Don't be pressurized. Don't get into peer pressure, and determine your happiness.
Great advice, Chris.
Thank you.
And I think you've just given the conclusion to the show as well, because I have nothing to add for once.
You've taken
the words right out of my mouth. But thank you so much. Right, I will tell you guys about, what day is it today? Monday? I always forget the day. Wednesday show, we're going to be talking about if you're going travelling over Christmas, some great places that you can go to in style, because not everyone stays in the UK, do they?
No.
They don't like the cold, they want to go somewhere else, they want to do something different. So we're going to be talking about that and all the tools that you need for Christmas abroad. So please do join us then. If you want more information about any of my guests tonight, everything will be up on my website, chrissybshow.tv. If you haven't joined the Chrissy B family, what are you waiting for? You can also join. All the details are on the website as well. And if you want to get in touch at any point, you can email me, chris@chrissybshow.tv, and I promise to answer every single email personally. So we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now.
Hi there, Chrissy. I'm once again in the streets to find public opinion. Hi there, Chrissy. Once again. And there we have it, Chrissy. We've had some very interesting answers today. Now, how do you spend your Christmas? And there we have it, Chrissy. It has been... And there we have it, Chrissy. Some people... hold on, let me think about what I'm going to say first, because this is taking too long.